Hey everybody, welcome back to Tomcat Zone. This is video number 6 in our after-action review of 5th Fleet's game 12th scenario, the Indian Ocean War. We are currently with a new log file here, which is great. I will be able to go through the step-by-steps of the turn, but after watching some of these videos and reviewing my first attempts here at this kind of stuff, I want to make sure too that I'm not just doing a play-by-play of each turn, which can get probably boring really quick. The goal here was to give a insightful view as to what strategy there was and why I was doing what I was doing, and then see the successes and the failures of each choice and how it brings us to the end of the game and the victory or loss that you'll see later. Anyway, this is action segment 2 of game turn 2, still in game day 1. So I'm going to just bring up the turn cycle here. As you can see, we're in the afternoon turn of game day 1. Turn 2, and Scott just finished up with his air cycle, and on that first action segment, he attacked with his aircraft again, bombers out of Iran, devastating Muscat, bombers out of India, devastating Karachi. I'm really feeling the impact of my first mistake, which was, of course, the strategic air cycle and limiting the number of aircraft I have available for cap. He basically has moved through most of this stuff with his MiG-31s and MiG-29s. He kept everything on the ground, and I, unfortunately, did not. So, anyway, after feeling the pressure there from his attacks, I've chosen subs to start this first action cycle of my new turn here. Reason being is, one, my subs are in close contact with a lot of my targets that I do have detected, as you can see here in the Maldives, as you can see in the East Indian Ocean. And I think down in Sumatra. No, nothing much in Sumatra. Anyway, here in the Arabian Sea. I don't want to activate ships. Well, let's start. Let me go back. I don't want his subs to move away from my opportunity to attack them. So I'm taking advantage of that positioning. I could start with boats, but I don't want, or in ships. I don't want to start with ships because although I need them to move, the situation is still the same. I need my ships to stay out of sight and undetected as much as possible until I get a lot of these high victory point units to their objectives. So anyway, that's the and then of course I've got aircraft available too for this turn, this game day, or game turn I should say, but I've already hit Car Nicobar down here with cruise missiles, and I don't think my B-52s have any left. Let me look at their count once real quick. But even if they do, that said, my air can move. I got one more cruise missile attack with my B-52s. That's good. Even that said, though, the aircraft can still go and have an influential effect on anything I decide to do later. For the most part, my sub hunters will still be able to attack these subs, even if they move away from the close locale that they're at with my other subs, or you know what I'm saying, close contact with my submarine force right now. So anyway, to start this up, I also want to try and reduce the length of the videos, just so you guys know, because I find that the longer they get, the more they become choppy, and then the windows don't react as quickly, and you don't see what I'm talking about until I might be past talking about it. So, okay, so let's move on. First of all, we start with the Miami down south. As you can see, she's got a red line around her, move marker now on the counter. She's going to move south away from the Kotov, and you know what? Oh, here's why. I was thinking, why didn't she attack the Kotov first? Submarines can only make one attack per turn. Ships, surface vessels, can make two types of attacks per turn. They can attack with ASW attack on a sub, and then move, and then fire with anti-surface missiles. But submarines can't do that. They can do one or the other. So the Miami has moved 3 hexes south towards Car Nicobar, with the goal to hit Car Nicobar with a cruise missile strike. That with that movement, that puts me in within 23 hexes of the base, and so the Miami comes to launch depth, and my cruise missiles are fired. Anyway, I got a 12 SSM value against the base. There is no modifiers to my dice roll because if you remember, Car Nicobar was previously hit in the last turn. So when the landing phase of the cap landing phase had occurred at the end of the last action cycle, his aircraft over Car Nicobar had to also land. So that put him with no defense on the base itself, and the actual close air count balance on the base has no effect on cruise missiles. So there's no dice roll modifier to my roll, and so I roll, and I rolled an 8, and guess what? That is a hit on the base, and so we flip the damage marker to 3, as you can see down here on Car Nicobar now. And as is our tendency here, me and Scott get a little colorful with our writing, and so as we say here, over the Car Nicobar, the afternoon quiet is abruptly ended as alarm klaxons begin to wail. Inbound vampires have been detected, but it's too late. The already damaged airbase cannot scramble aircraft to its defense, and soon the thunderous blasts are heard across the island. Boo-yah, buddy. Yeah, so the goal is to kill that base. When I kill that base, Car Nicobar, of course, loses all of its aircraft, which is great for my victory points. I get to stack some points there for a pile of aircraft, especially aircraft that haven't really been able to make a big influence on the game except to shut down Banda SC. And I also get the points for my finally killing a base after being on the receiving end for so long here. So I say here I marked off my cruise missile ammo for the Miami. All right, the Baton Rouge, she moves south to come up on the Opokov. I got a detection marker on the Opokov, and I want to try and start sinking some of these subs. Baton Rouge maneuvers for an attack on the Opokov with a 9 ASW value. The ASW attacks are not defendable. You don't roll a defense die to see what to reduce the attack and potentially abate the attack. It all comes down to how good the ship is. Anyway, on a 9 ASW to hit a submarine that has okay, let's see here. His sub's health, we lost something here with, I'm going to minimize this a minute. Let me bring it back up because it got all weird. Okay, so his sub has a strength of 7. So to attack a 7 strength sub at 9, I need either a 7, 8, or 9 to at least damage the thing. Okay, here, column with my attack. Combat value is 9. Going down to the dice roll, what we would need, 4, 4 or 5, 7, 8, or 9 will give me a result of half of his sub's defense strength, which will damage it. So anyway, we roll, and I get a 1. No effect. Now here's something that we were mistakenly doing at the onset of this game. We caught it, I think, at the end of this turn, if not into the next game turn. When we were attacking with subs, we were automatically putting detection markers on them. That's not the case. When a sub attacks, whether it's attacking against a surface vessel or another submarine, you have to roll a detection. Only surface vessels are automatically detected by either fellow surface vessels or a submarine with its attack. Subs still have the potential to be lost in the depths there after they sneak in, do a snapshot, and then evade. Needless to say, we put local markers on the Baton Rouge there, and that was a mistake. I think we did that on the Skortsov here in the previous turn too. And again, this was a mistake in the sense that just because he moved through my extended zone, we put a local detection marker on it. It should have been a test for that local detection, and we didn't do that. So we do get our proverbial crap together here in a few turns here as we start going, oh, we're not following the rules right. Okay, next, the Sea Lion in Sumatra. It's a diesel boat. I'm just trying to move these boats to hinder his movement of his 2 diesel boats towards my task groups. Now, fortunately, his subs only move at a speed of 2. My task groups move at 3 and 4, depending on the ships. So they will get an opportunity to outpace these diesel boats, but still, if I can make him have to zigzag in his patterns, that's the goal. Again, my setup, I'm not real crazy about my initial setup on this one, but so the Sea Lion moves and the Cockerel moves just to get the Cockerel moves just to get out to sea further from Grand Nicobar. Now we have the Shark. The Shark is up here in the Maldives, in the Maldives. The Shark is right here. And the Shark watches the waterfall display, knows there's a target. Misspelled there. Near at hand, the captain orders a snapshot on the Lunchky with a 6 ASW value. My die roll. Now, when it comes to Soviet subs, most subs are 7 or better in their defense. And at 9, as we saw, you need a 7, 8, or 9 to hit these things. Well, it's 6 at the weaker strength that the Shark is on its ASW abilities. It needs a 9 to hit this sub, and so we roll, and I get a 2, and it's a no effect. You're going to notice here as we continue, and the dice continue falling the way they do, we get upset in our texting back to one another. Anyway, so the Shark attacks, and she is unsuccessful. I move her south, and the Sea Devil comes up. Sea Devil attacks with a 9. Again, we need a 7, 8, or 9 to hit the Lunchky. And I roll a 3. No effect. Key West moves in, and I fire on the Lunchky. I need a 7, 8, or 9. Same attack value as the Sea Devil, and I roll a 7. Lunchky is finally hit after 3 attacks. And here we mistakenly put detection markers without testing for it. I don't know why I didn't put one on the Shark. We did everything else. Okay, the Casablanca, the French Casablanca is just moving south. The Turbulent is moving north after that Task Force 3, which has the slow convoys in it. Again, my goal here is to start sinking some convoy vessels that are worth victory points to him. They're worth 0 to me, but to kill them actually reduces his the amount of points he can achieve. The Sea Wolf, she moves at a speed of 4. She's my fastest sub, and she races up into the area around Task Force 4 and getting closer to Iran so we can bring our cruise missiles to bear. Who's moving now? Okay. Oh, I see the Pakistan subs are moving out from their coastal waters. The Mont Rivers moves south at a speed of 3. Again, I'm wanting to put her in between my task forces and his subs, so as to give him a little bit of. He's going to have to steer around my boats or he'll potentially get detected to try and attack or find at least my task forces. One thing Scott said at this point in his setup and in his actions that he took, the things he wished he would have changed was he put a lot of these, and I don't know if it was by the setup of the scenario that these deep divers and these Akulas were placed so far north, but he said he mistakenly didn't bring his cruise missiles to bear fast enough, especially against Diego Garcia and the bases along the Persian Gulf. In fact, a lot of them, I see him chasing. We're going to see him chase my subs more than he brings his cruise missiles to bear. So anyway, here the Narwhal, which is surrounded by a pack of Soviet subs here. The Narwhal picks up faint sonar signals in all directions and knows that there's extreme threat. The captain orders a snapshot on the contact to the north. I fire on the Ovsenko with a 9 ASW value, my die roll. Again, to hit this guy, I need the numbers 7, 8, or 9. It's an 8 defense on this Ovsenko, the nuclear sub. It's a good sub. Narwhal's pretty good though too. It's got a great ASW value of 9. I got a 30% chance to hit. And we get a 9. We hit the Ovsenko. 2 hits so far this turn with my sub. I'm very happy. Okay. When that's done though, I need to get this boat out of being surrounded by 4 subs, because I don't want 4 subs to attack me unless he wants to commit them. Well, I'm not going to move north or east, I should say, or west, I should say, towards my task forces. So I'm going to send the Narwhal south. And truthfully, if we were to flip this map the way the actual globe and the Earth is, that's actually a northerly direction that he went. So the point is here, if Scott wants to use these subs and chase down my localized Narwhal, he's going to have to move to attack it, which is fine. Give me opportunities to find him before he attacks, but it also give me an opportunity to get him closer to my Pakistani boats, which are not tremendously powerful, but still a threat. Lastly, though, it will pull his subs away from my task force. That's my biggest goal. So the Narwhal heads 3 south or towards the Pakistani coast. All right, the Shushuk. We're going down here. Where's the Shushuk? There's the Shushuk. The Shushuk is a Pakistani diesel boat. I've localized his task force 4, which is, I believe, the Vikrant. Let's see, task force 4. No, is the Virat. So I've localized the Virat with this diesel boat, which is cool. That little 12 torpedo strength, the number 12 right above the N, is the torpedo strength. When you make a torpedo attack and you haven't been detected yet, you can get some good bonuses. Compared to, and his defenses aren't as good. it all comes down to whatever his ASW strength is. Whereas the 16 ASM, the 16 surface-to-surface missile attack that's just above that, I think his task force has a greater defense for air attacks. 5 and then 6s. Maybe I should have committed the air attack, but I decided to make a torpedo attack against him. Torpedo attack. The Shushuk is going to torp into the Virat. We got a 12, and I get a +2 to, or he gets a +2 to his die roll for task force. So before we even find out what my attack roll is, he rolls a defense roll, which we'll see here. Because this is a log file, we roll for each other. I would roll his defense rolls when I'm running my log file. He rolls my defense rolls when he's running his log files. It's just quicker to expedite the game that way instead of stopping, sending him my intentions as a log file, and then waiting for him to respond, and then going on. Bottom line, we're mutually beneficial to each other, making sure that we use the best ships that were present, obviously. If it was a surface-to-surface missile attack, we made sure that the arrangement of the ships were in the best pattern for defense. And of course, if there was any question, both of us me and Scott were both willing to re-evaluate an attack to make sure that it was, it was fair. That we did, we played the fairest way for each of our units. Opposed units. So anyway, he rolls a 5, so he gets a 5, but he gets a +2 to that die roll for his task force, which is a 7, right? That isn't, so when you look at the CRT here, his defense roll is a 5. So we go down the defense column to 5, add 2 to it for 7, and then carry that over to his ASW strength. Now, as a fleet, his ASW strength is these numbers over here on the left in the bottom. So in torpedo and ASW combat, you use, when it comes to surface vessels, you're allowed to use the best, a maximum of 3 ships. So he's got a 6 and 2 3s as his best numbers there for his ASW defenses, which gives him a 12. So going then to the combat result table, we go over to the 12 column, 10 to 13, and then go down to the 7, which is his dice roll. 5 + 2 is 7. We carry that over across under 10 to 13, and we find out it's a 5. That means I have a -5 to my attack roll to hit this ship, and I have to achieve at least a 3 to damage the Virat. So we're going to roll the dice. So before I roll the dice, let's look at that. So I've got, I had a 12 torpedo strength. I'm in the same column. I'm at a -5. So even if I roll a 9, it would take it down to 4. Going over to the 10 to 13 would give me a 3. So essentially, I need to roll a 9 to even hurt this ship at this point. If I rolled a 8 or less, it would give me a 2 or less, and that's not going to hurt the Virat. So let's see what I get. So obviously, I need the best roll I can get. I roll a 0, and we'll just say that I wasn't happy with I wasn't happy with that. Again, we placed a local detection on the sub. It should have been tested for by rolling. Oops, not that. No, we don't need that chart. Rolling on the sub detection. All right, and he would roll then on NATO, SS, SN, SB. At a 0, he would need a 1 or 0 to detect me, even for that sub. But because it's an SS and it just fired a weapon, detection attempt against the SS, it just executed any form of combat, he would take a -4 to that die roll. So in truth, he would need a 5 or less on the dice to be able to find that boat. Again, we forgot to do these things at the beginning of our game here. We were just placing local detections. Might have lost some units because of this. We might have screwed ourselves a little bit, but we do catch on and we do fix it here as we progress. And again, the Shushuk wants to distance itself from the potential return attacks. So that's all my subs. So when we look at this action segment, 1 and 2 is done. We go into 3 and 4. When you go into the next set of action segments, you roll for initiative, which I do here, and I roll 2. Even number is Allies, odd number is the Soviets, so it's me. So I continue on through this turn with my next movement, which I choose ships. And this is going to be an interesting one because you're going to see I do a lot of transferring and moving around and stuff here. So looking at the turn track, I move my marker here to allow for, or to mark for surface vessels to go. All right. I'll try and do this a little quickly. I'm going to bring up this map here, though, or this board up here, because you're going to see some changes I make real quick, and I'll explain why I do it. All right, first of all, the Omani patrol craft head out. They have a speed of 5, and they got a great surface to, some of them have really better surface-to-surface missile attack value, but he's at a 1 range. So that S1 means sea skimmers, first of all, which is makes for a better advantage on the attack, but he has to be at least 1 hex away from his target. So I move the Omani patrol craft, kind of a suicide attack, truthfully, but I want to start putting some dents in his boats. And so with an 18, my Omani PCs, patrol craft, are going to attack on the Task Force 3. So the first thing when you attack with a task force, you have in a surface-to-surface missile attack, you have to roll for location. If we look at the combat summary, it says here, prior to the attack, roll the die. On an even result, targets must be chosen from the top half of the stack. On an odd result, from the bottom half of the stack. On a 0 or 9, the defender gets to select which targets those missiles are going to go after. It's a cool, I like this. They changed this in the later editions of Fleet. I kind of like this one. It plays out very critically later on in the game. Anyway, so I roll 4 location. This will be my first SSM attack in the game, so I need to do some reading. This was this is our first time playing 5th Fleet. When Scott and I started, we were doing 6th Fleet stuff, which doesn't have the same rules, doesn't have the same modifiers, doesn't have the same dice, a lot of changes. So I wanted to make sure I had everything right here before I committed anything. And so to start, I have to roll to see where we're hitting. So I roll 5, which means the bottom half of the stack. So I'm going to bring up the Russians here. And this is Task Force 3. So I got the bottom half of the stack of Task Force 3, which means 1, 2, we got 8 vessels here. So I got this Convoy 7, the Minsk, the Convoy 6, or this flotilla of corvettes. Obviously, I want to hit the slow convoys because I want to put those guys at the bottom of the ocean here. So I will target Convoy 6 with all 18 points, and they are all sea skimmers. Another thing to learn is 18 is also 14. If you're just learning this game, understand when you go across the combat table, it's if you got points that you can still use in another, another target, do it. I could have put 10 on the Convoy 6. That's a cool thing about surface missile attack. Once you find out what your half of the stack you're going to hit, you can pick which ones you want to hit. So you can put a predominant part of the attack on this and a smaller portion on that, all of it on one, however you want to do it. But the bottom line is, if I would have put 14 on the Convoy 6, I still would have had 4 points to put on another ship, and it potentially caused a little more havoc. I put all 18 into the attack, which essentially was a waste of my attack value. Anyway, things you learn, things you think about after the fact. But they're all sea skimmers, which gives me an advantage on the attack. Your area air is 0. So again, like with the sub attack on the torpedo attack on the Virat, surface to surface works the same way. He has numbers along the right hand side here, lower right of each ship. The one on the outside is the area air, the one on the inside is the close air, which means area air, the whole fleet can combine its area air value, the whole task force can combine its area air value as surface to air missile defense. Basically SAMs launching to knock down any surface to surface missiles. The close air, the number on the inside here, is the ship itself, and it's close in air defense systems. This might be missiles, this might be choose systems, close in weapon systems, you know, the big Gatling guns blowing these missiles out of the air before they can get to the ships. Usually the ship you're attacking, so I'm attacking convoy 6 here. Where am I? I'm in the wrong convoy 6. So I'm attacking here against convoy 6. If you would get his close air, but he doesn't have any. It's a merchant vessel, so they don't have any defenses. But you always get the ship right under it. It's close air as well. So as you see here, your area air is 0. So this whole task force has 0 in area air, all 0 or ends, right? So there's nothing there to help him. And then the close air, the ship right underneath him is a 5. So that's the column he'll work on, his close air defense. He does get a +2 to his die roll for task force, and here he rolls. So he rolls a 3 + 2 is a 5 on the CRT. So we go down to 5, we go over to 5, that's a -3 to my attack, and that's what I say here, and boom, I roll a 4, which is a negative, -3 is a 1, and that is a 2 result for a hit. So we go back to the chart here. I rolled a 4, -3 is a 1, and I have an 18. Yeah, I put 18 into that thing. So 1 at 18 is a 2, and if you look at his convoy ships here, they've got a defense value of 4. So half of that is 2, obviously. So that convoy's struck, or those merchant ships are struck. Cool. I would love to have a kill, but I only got a hit, but I'll take the hit. At least it wasn't a waste of time. That is a 2 result for hit, and we place a local marker on that Omani PC because they are now aware of them. Okay, we continue on here. Task Group 17 is moving out from along the coast here. It was in Belawan, and along the way here I had some patrol craft. Task Force 17 is just that. It's just a mishmash of Thai, Malaysian, and Indonesian patrol craft. But I grouped them because as a group, they have a better advantage on defense. Ships out there floating by themselves, they can be torn apart, picked apart really easily by anything. Surface attacks, subs attacks, or worst of all, air attacks. Okay, Task Group 16, everybody's kind of just moving around here. Task Group 19, Task Group 19 is my slow convoys with fast frigate escorts. Now these ships are just kind of placed here. If they were to attack, I'd reposition them so that these fast frigates could help better. But bottom line, these slow convoys have to get to Diego. They're slow. They only go 3, but I have to get them north. So they are moving towards Diego. This is an interesting one. This stack right here is my amphibious vessels, and they all have to get to the Strait of Malacca, actually to Great Nicobar. I could take them north towards Karachi, but the closest place to get victory points for them is Great Nicobar, and so I want to get them there as quickly as possible. I do need to get them, they stacked by themselves at the beginning of the game. I do need to get them some better defenses, so I move them north. Again, I'm just using that directional in reference to, up and down on this map. Moving them north here to get in path to allow for this group, task group 5, which happens to be the Ranger. The Ranger and her escorts. So that's really cool. We got a U.S. carrier now with the amphibious assault vessels, and you're going to merge some ships into a task force. When moving ships, you can either merge them or break them up as a task force at the beginning of their movement, or move them and then merge them at the end of their movement. But that's what's going to happen here. So we're going to see as this stack of amphibs merges in with my Ranger. Oh, something else is going on there. Hold on a second. Boom, boom. I see. So if we go back to my carriers group here again, you're going to see task group 5 now has the amphibious assault vessels mixed in with the Ranger. I repositioned my destroyers and my guided cruisers to make sure that they're defending my most important ship, which is the Ranger itself. But at least these amphibious assaults now have the benefit of air cover and that's with the UK, that's right. And air cover and the better defense of the warships. You're going to see 3 ships that I did not place in the group. They're ammunition, oilers, and cargo combat supply ships. They're really not that important as far as part of our game. We're not using logistics, and that's what those ships are generally in the game for. We decided to keep the logistics ships in the game, even though we weren't using logistics, just to, well, why not? They still have a close air value, right? 3, 4, and 7, respectively. So why not? Okay, I'm getting long on this video here. I want to move on. Going to merge some ships. Okay, so again, we see task group 9 moving. It's fast convoys. These buggers, these boats here move at 4. I want to get them to Diego as quickly as possible. Okay, task group 8 here in the East Indian Ocean, made up of the Australians, along with the Burmese Endeavour, which is a full tanker. Full tankers have to get down to the Maldives, or no, the Straits of Malacca, I should say. Anyway, those Australians are escorting this boat, but we do have 2 Russian subs hunting them. So I'm going to try and hit them, see if we can cause at least one of these subs to be damaged. And I want to hit the Skvortsov here. And my combined ASW strength for my Australian frigates and its destroyer company is 7, 8, 9, and 10. So I got a 10 on the 10 column. I roll a 3, no effect. Immediately, task force 8, or task group 8, I should say, heads towards the Straits of Malacca after at least attacking. Get to attack first, then move. Task group 7 moves towards the Straits of Malacca. It's another group with a full tanker. It's just a couple frigates with a full tanker. Again, when I talked at the beginning of this game, these videos, probably would have been wiser to move these 2 task forces together, bring them together, have more strength for the whole group instead of sailing them along individually. I was thinking that I had to be as quick as possible at getting these ships to their locations. But there's a lot of turns and a lot of time left in this game to have consolidated. Again, a mistake I made. You'll see why as the game progresses and Scott picks these things apart. Then we go to whom? Let's see who's. Oh, okay. Up in Diego, I got a stack of amphibious assault vessels that need to get moving towards Karachi. They can go to Great Nicobar. Doesn't matter. I can take them up to the Persian Gulf. Bottom line is they have to head somewhere and get them moving. I start to move them because Enterprise in this Task Force 6, it's moving south. So if I can bring them north and mate up with the Enterprise and at least get them under the Enterprise's combat air patrol cover, why not? Right now they're underneath the Diego Garcia air cover, but they've got a lot of distance still to, even if they move, they'd still be protected. So they move. I move them 3 out of Diego, and I put the cap and the bomber back. And that gets those guys heading out. Cap's on top of the stack there, courtesy of the Tarawa and her Harriers. Somebody else is now moving. Okay, Task Group 10, again a slow convoy group. I got to get them to Diego. They're moving fast towards Diego, or at least as fast as a slow convoy can go. At the same time, the Enterprise keeps moving and at least keeps Task Group 10 under its air cover. Task Group 18, which is, again, 2 frigates and 2 empty tankers. These, again, they have the number here, 3112. That's the hex we got to get to. That's all the way up in the Persian Gulf. I don't know which country in particular. It might be Qatar. It's not Kuwait. It might even be Bandar, or Dubai, I should say. But bottom line, empty tankers have to get to the Persian Gulf to where they'll be refilled. I only have 2 fast frigates with them. They can still only move 3, but we move. Head up towards the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman first. Okay, last of all, and this should bring this turn close to an end here because it's a long video thus far. The French move south and round outside of his combat air patrol from Ras Karma. That will allow my French bombers to launch without any kind of threat. If you launch aircraft underneath enemy combat air patrol, that combat air patrol can jump them immediately, and it's, so why do it? This stuff's moving in the Persian Gulf. I've got all these little patrol craft moving and stuff, just bringing them south to help me. Okay, I'm going to go back a few because stuff was happening here. All right, so Task Force 4, Task Force 3, and Task Group 13. Task Group 13 is full tankers. They have to get out to sea. They have to get to the West Indian Ocean. The hex is along the edge of the map there. They're currently being guarded by only 2 frigates. Those things got to get more coverage. So I got to bring them to Task Group 4, which is the Lincoln. But I also got Task Force 3 here, which is the Wisconsin or the New Jersey. Either way, whatever, it doesn't matter. These task groups, task forces combined would serve us so much better. So you're going to see some shifting around here as I moved Task Force 20 onto the board. So let me go back to once. Let's bring up this. So you see here, Task Force 20. Go one more. Okay. All right. Well, what we're missing here is these Italians with these 2 empty tankers were originally with the Lincoln group. Okay, I split them off into Task Group 20, and hence you will see Task Force 20 marker is now on the map, and the goal is to get those empty tankers towards the Persian Gulf. So I send them on their way. At the same time, so they move 3 north, and then I spread them out here, get these ships all spread out, and then what's happening is you go back to, and then Task Force 3 which is made up of the battleship group under Wisconsin, moves to mate up with task group 13, and we're going to see as, oh, okay, I see what happened there. Sorry. Task Force 3 is now going to launch cruise missile attack against Isfahan. And I roll a 3. Again, I get angry, plagued with low rolls. At the same time, moving back to Task Force 4, moves 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, finally, we get together here all over this stack. And I'm going to bring up my ships, and you're going to see as I merge. Wait a second, go back. Again, I guess Task Force 4 will make the same attack with a cruise missile 16 value. Again, -1 to my roll for cap. He's got a strong enough cap over Isfahan to reduce my roll, but my cruise missile strength for Task Group 4 is I've got the Hewitt here, I've got the Mississippi, and I've got the Anzio. 6, 6, and 6 is 18. Huh. Cruise missile attack is 16. Should be half of your surface-to-surface missile strength there. I don't know what I did there. Anyway, bottom line is I rolled a 6, and that's a hit. I put a damage marker on Isfahan, which is cool because that'll, again, park his cap and make it so his MiG-31s can't fly. And that's key to protecting the Persian Gulf because those fighter sweeps have been killing me. Anyway, after that's done, something's jumping around here, guys. I'm sorry. Okay. Just placing the damage marker over the base. That's all that's going on there. Okay, now to merge these task forces. Okay, to end this. I merge Task Force 3 into Task Force 4. You're allowed to have up to 12 combatant vessels in one task force. So I'm still safe there by merging those two. Then I bring Task Force 13 into the group. And I do some moving around here of my ships. But if you look across the board, we got the Sacramento is a combat supply, so it is not a warship. So when we look at the number of warships, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'm within my limits. I've got a combat supply vessel with some good close air, and I've got my full tankers well protected now in this task group, also under air, combat air. And that stuff's going on still. It's got to be happening in here. Task Group 13. Just moving around my ships, I guess. Sorry. And then I marked off my cruise missile ammo. Task Group 2, which is the British Ark Royal, moving again empty tankers towards the Persian Gulf. They move. Task Force 15 comes in. Going to try to attack Yevsenko. I roll a 6 and no effect on that attack. Place a local detection marker on Task Force 15, which is automatic. That does not need to be tested because surface vessels are always detected when you are in range of either another surface vessel or a submarine. My patrol craft from Pakistan are moving, and I think that's it. So we end this log file, we end this video here with the movement of my subs into my ships. Again, the goal is to move the ships. I consolidated them at least this time with a couple of carriers. Probably should have done a little bit more consolidation, but I didn't. I was trusting to being undetected and trusting to speed. And so we'll see where it goes. Subs, unfortunately, although they had the opportunity to make some impact on his opposing subs and even his opposing carrier, I got a big bag of nothing on that. Just a couple hits. So end of the file. Thanks for watching. Probably do another one of these tomorrow, but we'll talk to you soon.